Busy show today. As always, we're going to stick to Michigan State basketball for the first segment. Just some news and notes on the NBA Combine, some new recruiting rankings that we are going to scream about. And then segment 2, Top 5 Tuesday is back. And in honor of Boo Buie returning to Northwestern, Top 5 biggest headaches for Michigan State fans, and then a little bit of baseball talk at the end. Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, Locked On Spartans listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today to Locked On Spartans, your team in green and white 5 days a week here. And it is going to be a pretty basketball-heavy show, but with a little bit of baseball and golf at the end of this one. Yes, we're going to give a few sports some love here. But before getting into the meat and potatoes of today's program, hey, please rate, review, and subscribe to this here podcast or YouTube channel. Anyway, you are digesting this. Hey, thank you so much. Really do appreciate you guys, especially in the off season. I mean, God, even though that, an actual basketball game or football game hasn't been played in so long, it's still pretty busy here around these parts in sunny East Lansing. All right, let's get into today's show. Hey, we got some pretty important dates coming up this week for basketball, and not specifically just Michigan State basketball, but more so the NBA. And before the weekend wrapped up, the G League Combine sent out their invites to about, I think it was 45 players, got the invite for the G League Combine, and Joey Hauser is on that list. Now, that's not so important because, he's already gone. Like, he's out of here. There's no chance that he comes back. Can he? Yes, he does have 1 year of eligibility, miraculously, but from everything I've heard and from all accounts, not coming back. Now, there are 2 other names out there that we are keeping our eyes on this week, and that is Jaden Akins and AJ Hoggard. It is notable that neither of those 2 players got the invite to the G League Combine. And, the next Combine they could get an invite to is the bigger one, the NBA Combine. Now, in years past, all right, they've announced their NBA Combine invite list on the second Wednesday of May. Now, it's not a perfect formula. The COVID year and the year after that kind of screwed things up. But, hey, last year, second Wednesday of May. In 2019, second Wednesday of May. So, look, if they want to stick to the normal trend, we're going to get that name or that list of names here in a little bit. Now, it could be anywhere from, I think it was 66 names. Yeah, 66 names in 2019, 76 names on it last year, and we will have our eyes peeled to see if Akins or Hoggard make that list. Now, of course, if they get invited to the Combine, that is certainly not an end-all, be-all to them definitely declaring for the draft and not coming back. But it certainly raises the chances, right? Like, let's say Akins gets that invite, and, hey, look at this. You know what? Actually, hey, scouts, they just told me that I'm going to be a second-round pick or a late second-round pick. Again, that's not the end-all, be-all to someone entering the draft, but sometimes that is enough. Hey, it was enough for Max Christie last year to hear that, and so this is something that we're a little, on edge about. Maybe not worried about, but it's definitely notable as we go further into the week here with the NBA Combine. Now, not the only important date here. At the end of Thursday, when midnight hits on Thursday evening, that will be the closing of the transfer portal window for basketball. All right, so let's say Akins or Hoggard, they both don't get invited to the NBA Combine. The next thing after that is, all right, are they going to put their names in the transfer portal after that? Now, this isn't like to scare anyone because I, quite frankly, don't expect AJ Hoggard to enter the transfer portal. I don't think, let me knock on wood here, I don't think Akins will. However, it would be extremely naive of me to just say, there's no chance they're entering the transfer portal. Akins had a very pro-MSU announcement when he declared for the draft while maintaining his eligibility. AJ Hoggard, same, more the cookie-cutter route, but it would be incredibly naive of me to sit here and not think that other schools haven't reached out to at least Akins, to sweeten the pot with maybe a deal that he can't refuse. I mean, we just saw it not too long ago for football around these parts, but again, those are just the 2 dates right here. Is that Wednesday-ish, maybe Tuesday, maybe a day later. That's when you're going to get your NBA Combine invite list. And then Thursday at midnight, that is where we're going to hold our breath and hope that, Akins, Hoggard don't enter the transfer portal. So just wanted to keep everyone educated and up to speed right there. All right, now let's move on to high school recruiting for basketball, and not just the active recruiting, but more so just the rankings. We have some numbers that we're going to scream, kick, cry about right here because that's just what we do best on this show. So here we go, On3. That's right, one of the newer recruiting sites out there, On3. They updated their basketball recruiting rankings for the 2023 class and sharpen those knives, get those pitchforks out, light those torches. There isn't a single Michigan State player in this star-studded class that is a 5-star player according to On3. That's right. How dare they? All right, let's light them on fire here. So Xavier Booker, of course, the crown jewel of the class. He is rated the top guy. And all these other recruiting sites too, like Rivals, 24/7 Sports, ESPN, if you want to take some stock into that. He's still MSU's top-rated recruit, just he is ranked number 16. And, well, I think Rivals, 24/7, if you're 16, you're a 5-star. For On3, not so fast, my friend. They only give 5 stars to the top 14 kids. And Xavier Booker lost his 5th star, so how dare they? But no, like I said, Rivals 24/7, ESPN still have him as a 5-star. Coen Carr, rated as number 22, but still not a 5-star according to On3. Gehrig Norman, he's a 44, actually, according to On3. That is the highest of any recruiting site on there, which is very nice, but we're building an agenda here to get upset at them, so let's just act like I didn't even say that, because we're going to get fired up about this one right here. You notice I haven't said anyone's name yet. I haven't said Jeremy Fears' name yet. Yes, the McDonald's All-American, the fringe 5-star, depending on what site you look at, he is. The other one, he isn't, but he's right there on the cusp of being a 5-star. Except for the fine folks at On3. They have him rated at a not-so-nice 69th best player in the country, which, I'm a Michigan State homer through and through. I look at plenty of things with green-tinted glasses. But even when you take those off, how on earth do you see Jeremy Fears and think, nah, not even a top 50 player in the country? Nah, he's actually just a middling 4-star. That is offensive. That is disgraceful. I also like seeing it, too, because, hey, sometimes when a point guard comes into Michigan State with a chip on his shoulder, that usually ends up being a pretty damn good career here in East Lansing. So, yeah, maybe On3 is actually doing us a favor right here because the other 3 sites that we've named, Rivals, 24/7, ESPN, none of those have him rated outside the top 40, but Jeremy Fears, it is barely in the top 70. On3, not ball knowers. Again, let's circle back here, though. I do actually love that rating for Gehrig Norman. A lot of these sites have him rated outside the top 70, if not top 80. But Gehrig Norman, I love all these kids, obviously, but I'm really high on Gehrig Norman's game. I think he's going to be a really good player here for Michigan State, probably a multi-year player. Highly doubt he goes one and done. But, man, he showed a lot of great things at the Ball is Life All-American game. Over the weekend, it was actually Gehrig Norman, Coen Carr, and Jeremy Fears all played in the Ball is Life All-American game over the weekend. Gehrig Norman on the team all by himself, and then Fears and Carr were teammates as well. And it was just another day for Coen Carr where you start to wonder, who builds these basketball rims and backboards? Because it is miraculous that he has not destroyed every single one he has dunked on yet. I mean, I watched the game on YouTube not too long ago before recording, and just insane that's a high school athlete that's coming to Michigan State. This kid is a freak, so I cannot wait for him. He had a dunk that was just 1 foot inside the free throw line, but this is stuff that you haven't already seen before from Coen Carr, who, again, won another dunk contest that weekend. So, all this kid does is just win dunk contests and absolutely just drop jaws whenever a clip hits social media. Jeremy Fears just showed some, great passing as he does. I got to say, compared to the McDonald's All-American game, a little more lax defense in the Ball's Life All-American game. This closely resembled what do you get from an NBA All-Star game, whereas the McDonald's All-American game actually showed some tenacity from the defensive end. But Jeremy Fears still some good outlet passes, all that fun stuff. But something that I had to remind myself about is that, hey, a point guard can have some bounce because he had a nice fast break, double clutch behind the back dunk. It's oh my God, this kid's going to be awesome. And yeah, Gehrig Norman, splashing home some deep threes, still slack, all that good stuff. So yeah, just another fun weekend of watching some future Michigan State Spartans compete in an all-American game. So it's all good here in East Lansing. All right, we're going to be talking more basketball here in a second. We're going to talk the 5 biggest Michigan State heartbreakers, headaches, Spartan slayers, however you want to put it. We're going to talk about them in a hot segment. First, you need to talk your ear off about FanDuel Sportsbook. It is a beautiful time of year to get in on the action. It's MLB regular season. Hey, let's say you're high on our Motor City Kitties over here in Detroit. Well, I mean, there's plenty of baseball bets you can make. Or if you like the adrenaline pumping action of NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, go to FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because they make it even sweeter for new customers. Like, hey, maybe even you. You get a no-sweat first bet if you're a new customer, up to $1,000. Gang, did you hear that? That is $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. There is no better place to bet on all the playoff action than America's #1 sports book. Go get in on my favorite bet, the method of the first basket for NBA. Like, that is, you want sky high profits. That's how you do it right there. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Some news that's not necessarily Michigan State centric broke on Monday. And let me tell you, there's no other way to spin this one. It ruined my week. Look, I'm done smiling the rest of the week. If you see me smiling on this show, you see me laughing so far in the first 11 minutes here, that's all been forced and faked because son of a Boo Buie, Northwestern point guard, has been there since, Drew Neitzel was at Michigan State, somehow have found another year of eligibility and announced that he is returning to Northwestern. It's like, woo, good for him. That's awesome. Great. The amount of hours of sleep that I've lost on Boo Buie is countless. So in his career against Michigan State, 6 games against the Spartans, he's averaging 17.5 points per game versus MSU, but 3 of those games with 20 or more points. He has a career high against Michigan State of 30 points. And it's actually, you know what? This actually surprised me. 3-3 against MSU in his lifetime. If you asked me in his 6 games, what is Boo Buie's record, I would have said at minimum 5-1. I have no good memories of playing against Boo Buie, but if you zoom out, like anytime Northwestern has like a 3-3 record against Michigan State in a 6-game span, it's not like ideal from the Michigan State side of things. So that means something special is going on over there in Northwestern, and that's something special is Boo Buie, a guy that also terrorized us back in December when, the Wildcats came into Breslin and beat us. Not fun. And so, yeah, here we go. So, hey, it's Top 5 Tuesday today. That's right. We've been doing this during the offseason, different top 5 lists. It's been very fun, at least for me. I hope it's been fun for you to listen to. So, you know what? Let's just all join in on the misery party together. Top 5 headaches for Michigan State Spartan fans. Now, I tweeted this out right after the Boo Buie news, said, hey, you know what? If you got a name that you want to throw out, go for it. And boy, did you guys deliver some great names. So we're going to go through a bunch of honorable mentions and then work our way to the top 5 at the end here. But man, the top 5 Spartan slayers. Alex Mayer just had to really just quick quip about Boo Buie, actually. Alex writes, Buie coming back just to see if he can set the single-game scoring record at the Breslin Center. Alex, let me tell you, man, he's got to be getting close to the top 20 all-time scorers in Breslin Center. And obviously, he's not even a Spartan. So, yeah, man, just great. Good for him. And Ryan Peterson also writes about Buie coming back, already making mental note to not overreact when MSU drops their 2nd straight game on a late January 9 p.m. Friday night tip in Evanston. The odds for that game, if they were on FanDuel right now, minus 200,000. Like that is a mortal lock that is going to happen. But at least we're going to be prepared for it somewhat here. Spartan Strawn. Okay, as far as players go outside of Boo Buie that have given us state fans headaches, Spartan Strawn writes in, not a specific player, but this is still bang on. If you average less than 5 points per game, you're guaranteed a legacy game. And I go right back to just Joey Brunk. The guy that in his last year at Ohio State never even played 18 minutes going into the Michigan State game. I don't think he scored more than single-digit points twice that season, and he lit Michigan State up for 18 points that night. So, yeah, it's just stuff like that. The guys that you just never see it coming from. Tech MSU for life. He gave the old heads out there some love. He's a Lucas Johnson, Brian Cardinal, Evan Etchmeyer, Devin Harris, Joe Crispin for people born before 1995. Brian Cardinal got a lot of nominees from you fine folks on Twitter, I got to say. Izzo T. Spartan Dog had a great callback here. Teran Petaway of Nebraska. Back when like Tim Miles at Nebraska ball had that stretch where he just owned Tom Izzo. Just a completely unassuming program, unassuming coach, but Teran Petaway was a monster against Michigan State. So that's a great one. Caleb Van Zee writes a current player in who, like, it's just a great one to mention. How about Zach Edey? Like, maybe it's just right in front of us in the 8'9" guy that will probably come back to Purdue. But yeah, kind of heartbreaking last year on Martin Luther King Day with that, we'll call it a buzzer beater last year. And then we'll just doing what he did. And West Lafayette against Michigan State was no fun either. And God, a lot of people also wrote in Aaron Kraft as well, but he's going to be our last one that's an honorable mention because I got to say, despite Aaron Kraft being there for 13 seasons, did you know his record in 9 games against Michigan State is only 5-4? And I guess like those are good Ohio State teams too. Like we're talking to Jared Solinger. We're going to get to a few more players on those teams too, but yeah, like, and he averaged like 12.5 points per game against Michigan State. He was fine, but we're going to start my top 5 list here with an Ohio State player that actually no one that I saw on Twitter before recording mentioned. All right, so an Ohio State Buckeye player that was just a headache for Michigan State. How about William Buford of Ohio State? Now, we're going to roll back the clock here. This is in the 2012 regular season finale at Breslin Center. If Michigan State wins, well, Draymond Green and the Spartans, they get to raise the only Big Ten regular season banner. Because if they lost to Ohio State, then it would have been a 3-way tie, and wouldn't you know it, son of a gun, William Buford went off for 25 at Breslin Center. This guy, it was a solid player. Don't get me wrong. He averaged, I think, 13 or 14 his senior year, but just a smooth 25 points at Breslin Center. Michigan State loses that game. 3 teams get to raise the banner. William Buford also had 23 points the year prior to that. He had 17 the year before that against Michigan State. So he had Michigan State's number. Now, the next 3 are all from the same team. And it's no surprise that a lot of you guys came in with some Michigan Wolverines here because, well, they're our arch rival. And when they do good, it stings a little more. So the next 3 are all from that school down the road. Number 4, Trey Burke. Just 2-2 against MSU, which I was actually surprised to see, but he had solid games in those 2 wins. Of course, the image of him stealing the ball from Keith Appling at Chrysler is seared into my memory for all the wrong reasons. So it's hard not to have Trey Burke on that list as well. Nick Stauskas. All right, that is another great call out for a lot of you guys here. He had 19 points at Michigan State. I believe that was a top 10 matchup. College Game Day was on campus earlier that day. It was the night game. And I remember getting to Breslin Center and watching both teams warm up. And I keep seeing Nick Stauskas shoot. And this guy isn't even hitting the rim on these 3-point attempts. He was as dialed as you could possibly be. They beat Michigan State, obviously. They completely spoil our game day party. He's blown kisses to the Y-Zone, which, like, honestly, why wouldn't you? After that performance, I'd be doing the same thing. He also had 25 points versus Michigan State at Chrysler later that season. Just completely annihilated Michigan State. Except, hey, you know what? We got things right in that 2014 Big Ten championship game, Big Ten tournament championship game, I should say, but still had 17 points in those 2 wins that year. He was 8 of 11 from 3-point land. So, yeah, he was tough. Number 2 on this list. I hate to say it, but, man, he played the villain role so well against Michigan State. And you probably already know where I'm going with this. It's Mo Wagner. It is Mo Wagner. He was a thorn in Michigan State's side, 3-1 against Michigan State in his last 2 years. And he had his career high at Breslin Center. Like, not just career high against Michigan State, but no, just like straight up career high points at Breslin Center. How many players can say they can do that He had 27 against Michigan State, and of course was just loud, brash, arrogant. But like, I hate to say it, when you play that good, you're kind of allowed to be. So he is incredibly hateable, and it actually upsets me like how good he was at being hateable, because I like the Michigan Wolverines that I like are the ones like Hunter Dickinson, the ones that are like loud, brash, arrogant. But like when you actually look at what they've done, it's nothing all that special except leading a team to an NIT bid this year and, you know, wearing the ski mask to the game at Wisconsin and stealing their NIT bid as well. It's more fun when they're loud and arrogant and then like not really doing anything that's all that impressive. But man, fortunately Wagner, it's so sad. He backed it all up, which killed me. And the number one headache, Spartan Slayer, thorn in our side, however you want to classify it. I can't believe we're doing this for a basketball conversation. We're going to go to Happy Valley though, right? Like you think great basketball. Of course, Penn State always comes to top of mind. It's Taylor Battle, though, is the number one Spartan Slayer in my mind. All right, I got to say, in his 9 games against Michigan State, he was below 500, which is a weird one for the number one. However, it was 4-5 against Michigan State. And also, let's not kid ourselves here. Anytime Penn State has a 4-5 run against Michigan State, that means some magic is happening in Happy Valley. That is not a program known for their basketball prowess over there. But no, Taylor Battle was such a good player. And he had some amazing games against Michigan State. 29 points at Michigan State his junior year, and got someone, oh man, I wish I wrote their name down on Twitter. I'm so sorry. But someone mentioned that anytime Breslin got louder, he started playing better. And it was true. He absolutely just got punked Michigan State. 25 points in his final game against Michigan State in the Big Ten tournament in his senior year. So I think that also left a sour taste in our mouths too, is the last time we saw Taylor Battle. Yeah, he gave us the business. So it's got to be Taylor Battle, because he made Penn State a very formidable opponent against Michigan State. And those were some pretty good Michigan State teams too. You know, it's not like we were having some down years and, they got us at a bad time. Like, no, Taylor Battle still got us at pretty good times too. So that's got to be number one for me, man. It's just every time watching that guy play against Michigan State. God, speaking of Penn State players, I feel like Tim Frazier too also had some. Anyway, so that's our top 5 list. If we've missed any names, comment below on YouTube. Send it over to me, lockedonspartans@gmail.com. Do what you got to do. And speaking of lockedonspartans@gmail.com, had this request a few times in the last few days and weeks. It's, hey, can you have a baseball segment? So batter up, guys. Let's do it. Let's talk about Michigan State baseball, because they're having a season worth talking about. All right. And this is actually the first time since 2018 they're this deep into the season and things are getting exciting for Michigan State. And let me explain what I mean about that. So in the Big Ten tournament at the end of the season, 8 teams make that tournament. All right, it starts on May 23rd. So coming in hot. There's only 2 series left, 6 games total in conference. And right now, the Big Ten baseball conference is very reminiscent of what we just saw in the Big Ten men's basketball season, where it's one team at the top, like Purdue was. Right now, Maryland for baseball is at the top. They're 13-5. All right, a second team that's somewhat close. Like right now, Indiana is 12-6. They're in second place. Teams 3 through 9 are on top of each other. There are 5 teams right now that have that have a 10-8 record. 5 teams that have a 10-8 record. Michigan State is one of them. So you can throw a blanket over this field. There's going to be one of these teams that are going to miss out on the tournament by probably just a game. But if Michigan State cracks the top 8 for the Big Ten standings, first Big Ten tournament berth since 2018. So, yes, this is a very exciting season for Michigan State here, for Jake Boss and the Spartans. Now, the 6 games are at Iowa. Okay, you got 3 games there, 3 games at Iowa. And obviously, never fun going on the road, no matter what sport it is. Michigan State just came back from a road series at Illinois, dropped all 3 of those games. So they got to do that again down at Iowa, and then end the Big Ten season at home, which is nice, but against Indiana, the second place team in the conference. So it is going to be a tough 6 games here coming up, but I mean, God, it is such a close-knit group up there for the top 8 that anything can really, truly happen. There is one player that I do want to highlight here, and that is Brock Vredenberg. All right, Brock Vredenberg, 6'7", big infielder for Michigan State. He's having a sensational year at the plate. So let's just go through a few numbers here. He's batting .443. All right, that is leading the Big Ten in batting average by a pretty sizable margin too. His on-base percentage, top in the conference as well, .531. This man is getting on base more than 50% of his at-bats. He has 60 RBI. That's second in the Big Ten. 19 doubles. That is also second in the Big Ten as well. And what really impresses me about Brock's season is that last year, his batting average was just .280. The year before that, .211. So here he is exploding in his third year here at a .443 batting average. His first 2 years combined, he had 15 doubles combined in those first two seasons. And just this year, 19 doubles. So, yeah, he's absolutely lighting the world on fire. And two other players just want to mention really quick as well. Mitch Jebb, 7 triples. That leads the Big Ten. And then Casey Mays, well, he has 5 triples. That is second best in the Big Ten as well. So, best of luck the home stretch here for Michigan State. Hopefully they crack that Big Ten tournament, which is in Omaha, just like the College World Series is. So, that's something to play for. And really quick before signing off, quick little golf update. You know me, can't get enough of golf. Women's golf, they have begun their I cannot read today. They have begun their 23rd regional today down in Florida. So just keep an eye on them the next few days, see if they get out of that regional. And then men's golf is actually hosting the regional for them at Eagle Eye over in Bath Township, Michigan. They are the 10 seed in the region out of 14 teams. This is the 6th time in the last 7 years that they are off to regionals. And Drew Hackett leading the way with a scoring average of 71.97. I actually shot a 72 yesterday as well. So me and Drew are the same. I had that score after 12 holes, but, that's semantics. Who cares about that? All right, gang. We will be back on tomorrow's show. We got Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports on. We're going to have an interview. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want to jinx anything, but we're going to have a player interview from someone on the football team. It's a name that you will definitely know coming later this week as well. We're going to actually have a combined show or a segment with Locked on Auburn as well because it turns out our programs are intertwined right now. So, yeah. Full slate of shows coming up for you guys throughout the week. Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. Love you all. You guys are all the best. Go treat yourself.